What if the most dangerous weapon in the Beckham family feud isn't a statement, a lawsuit, or a leaked text, but a wedding camera?
Yes, a camera.
Because somewhere, locked away on hard drives that may be worth more than a Beverly Hills mansion, Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz are reportedly sitting on hundreds of hours of wedding and vow renewal footage that streaming platforms are allegedly circling like sharks. And here's the part that has people whispering instead of tweeting. That footage doesn't just show a wedding. It shows who was there. And more importantly, who wasn't. At the exact same time these reports start heating up, Brooklyn steps out in public wearing a t-shirt that reads "Good Brothers." Coincidence? Message? Or a silent warning shot fired straight at the Beckham brand?
Because this isn't about family drama anymore. This is about narrative control. About who gets to tell the story.
About who holds the edit button on the most famous family image in British celebrity culture.
And if even half of what insiders are hinting at is true,
this wedding footage might be the one thing David and Victoria Beckham can't manage with silence. And that's where this story gets explosive. The moment those reports started circulating, something shifted.
Not loudly, not dramatically,
but quietly, strategically, like a chess move most people didn't even realize had happened yet. Because this isn't the first time the Beckham family has faced rumors. It isn't the first time tabloids have speculated about tension. For decades, David and Victoria have survived scandals, gossip cycles, relentless media storms, and public scrutiny that would have crushed most celebrity marriages. And they always handled it the same way.
Silence. Control. Image. Never react. Never feed the noise.
Never let the public see anything you don't approve.
That formula built an empire.
Which is exactly why this moment feels so different. Because this time, the thing creating tension isn't a rumor floating outside the family. It's footage sitting inside Brooklyn and Nicola's possession.
And that changes everything.
Multiple entertainment insiders have hinted, very carefully, that interest from streaming platforms isn't casual curiosity.
It's serious. Quiet meetings. Exploratory talks.
Production companies trying to understand what exists, how much of it exists, and whether it could be shaped into something far bigger than a simple wedding video. Because from a media perspective, this isn't a wedding story. It's a family narrative story.
2 ceremonies. 2 timelines.
One original wedding filled with high expectations, high emotion, and reportedly uncomfortable moments. And then a vow renewal that was described as peaceful, private, and most noticeably, absent of Beckham family members. That contrast alone is documentary gold. No accusations. No interviews required, just visuals. Who's in the room? Who's not? Who looks tense? Who looks relaxed? And that's the part that has people in media circles whispering. If this ever becomes a project, it wouldn't need dramatic voiceovers or explosive claims. The footage would speak by itself. And for a family that has spent decades mastering what the public is allowed to see, the idea of not controlling that edit is deeply uncomfortable.
Which brings us back to Brooklyn.
Because in recent weeks, he hasn't acted like someone trying to calm things down. He's acted like someone who finally understands leverage. The t-shirt that read "Good Brothers" didn't look like a fashion choice. It looked like messaging without words. Especially given the subtle online interactions, the unfollows, the silences, the careful distance from siblings that fans have noticed.
It was casual. Almost too casual. And that's why it landed so loudly.
Brooklyn has learned a new language, the language his parents perfected, visual messaging.
No statements.
No interviews.
Just symbols.
And while the public tries to decode the symbolism, something else is happening quietly in the background.
His visibility is exploding. Follower counts rising. Engagement jumping. Comment sections flooded.
For the first time in years, Brooklyn isn't being discussed as David Beckham's son trying different hobbies. He's being discussed as the central figure in a real cultural moment.
That shift matters more than people realize.
Because relevance is currency. And right now, Brooklyn has it.
Brands notice moments like this. Producers notice moments like this.
Publicists definitely notice moments like this. Controversy, when handled carefully, doesn't damage a career.
It can redefine one.
Suddenly, the idea of Brooklyn being involved in a lifestyle series, a documentary project, or a personal content venture doesn't sound random.
It sounds timely.
And Nicola's presence in all of this adds another layer. While speculation swirls online about her appearance, her silence has been almost surgical. No defensive posts. No emotional responses. Just composed images, carefully framed moments, and photos that oddly echo the visual style David and Victoria have used for years. Intimate dinners, cozy nights, countryside aesthetics, domestic calm. The resemblance is difficult to ignore, and it raises a subtle, uncomfortable question.
Is this imitation?
Or is it reclamation?
Because Brooklyn grew up inside that image.
That curated version of love, stability, and control.
And now, he appears to be recreating it, but on his own terms.
Meanwhile, on the other side, the Beckham machine keeps moving.
Cruz's music career surges. Victoria's beauty brand trends. Public appearances remain polished. No statements. No visible reaction. Business as usual. Which almost feels like a message of its own. We are unbothered.
But if they truly were, this story wouldn't be gaining this much traction.
And that's why the footage matters so much. Not because of what it might reveal loudly, but because of what it might reveal quietly.
And in a family built on controlling the narrative, quiet revelations can be the loudest of all. As the whispers about the footage grew louder, something else started happening that most people didn't immediately connect. People began rewatching old clips.
Old wedding photos. Old interviews. Old body language.
Suddenly, moments that once looked ordinary started looking loaded.
That famous first dance.
The one Brooklyn later described as deeply uncomfortable. The one where attention reportedly shifted away from him and Nicola and onto Victoria. 4 years, it was just a viral wedding moment.
Slightly awkward. Slightly dramatic.
Then forgotten.
But now, people are asking a different question.
Was that moment caught from multiple angles?
Was the raw reaction captured before the cameras for the public edit stopped rolling?
Because insiders keep repeating one phrase behind the scenes. There's a lot more on tape than people realize. And that's where the tension turns from gossip into something far more interesting.
Not explosive. Not loud. But emotionally persuasive.
Because if this footage ever becomes a streaming project, it wouldn't be framed as an attack. It wouldn't need to be. It would simply show events as they unfolded. Glances, pauses, who steps forward, who steps back, who looks comfortable, who looks displaced. And audiences are very, very good at reading between the lines, which is exactly what makes this so dangerous for a family built on controlling how those lines are drawn. Meanwhile, Brooklyn's behavior has become noticeably different.
He isn't hiding. He isn't retreating. He's doing the opposite. He's posting more, appearing more relaxed, smiling more,
walking confidently next to Nicola in public as if a weight has lifted that people didn't even realize he was carrying. Friends have hinted that he feels lighter. That for the first time in years, he isn't trying to live up to an invisible standard set by the Beckham name. And that psychological shift is crucial.
Because this doesn't feel like someone lashing out. It feels like someone who no longer feels trapped.
And when a person stops feeling trapped, they stop being predictable. That unpredictability is what has observers fascinated. Because David and Victoria's strategy has always worked on one principle: patience.
Let the storm pass. Let the headlines move on. Let silence win. But silence only works when the other side is also silent.
And Brooklyn isn't speaking with words.
He's speaking with optics. With timing. With presence.
With a t-shirt that says "Good Brothers" at the exact moment reports of family tension are peaking.
With photos that mirror his parents' iconic imagery. With the simple act of not denying the footage rumors. And then there's Nicola.
While the internet speculates wildly about her weight loss and appearance, the explanation remains grounded in her upcoming ballerina role.
Grueling training. Strict discipline.
Physical transformation. The kind of routine that demands total focus. But the timing of that transformation, coinciding with this public family narrative, adds an unintended intensity to how she's being perceived.
She looks composed. Controlled. Almost hyper-focused. Not like someone caught in chaos. Like someone preparing for something.
And in the background, the Beckham brand continues to operate flawlessly.
Cruz's tour momentum. Victoria's beauty line going viral.
Public appearances polished and calm. It creates a strange visual split screen. On one side, emotional independence and symbolic messaging. On the other, commercial stability and strategic silence. And the more this contrast grows, the more the footage becomes the center of everything. Because if it stays private, the mystery keeps fueling speculation.
But if it becomes public, the mystery turns into narrative.
And once a narrative is set by visuals instead of statements, it becomes very hard to challenge. Which is why media insiders keep saying the same thing quietly: this isn't about money anymore. It's about who gets to tell the story first. What makes this moment feel so volatile isn't shouting, accusations, or dramatic interviews. It's restraint. Because for the first time, Brooklyn Beckham appears to be holding something that the Beckham strategy can't easily dissolve with silence alone. For decades, the formula worked flawlessly. Control the visuals.
Control the timing. Control the narrative. Speak only when it benefits the legacy. Let rumors burn out on their own. But archived footage doesn't burn out. It waits.
And that waiting is what's making this situation feel like a ticking clock instead of a passing headline. People close to media negotiations suggest that even if no deal has been signed, conversations have been serious enough to make this more than idle gossip. Production teams reportedly want to know the scale of what exists.
How many cameras? How many hours?
What moments were captured unintentionally between the official moments?
Because those in-between seconds are where real stories live. A glance during a speech.
A delayed reaction. A body turning slightly away instead of toward. The absence of certain faces in the vow renewal footage. The contrast between two ceremonies that were meant to celebrate the same marriage but feel emotionally worlds apart. That kind of visual storytelling doesn't need narration. It invites interpretation. And interpretation is something the Beckham brand has never allowed the public to do freely. Which is why, behind the scenes, many believe there is quiet concern. Not panic. Not confrontation. But awareness that this is unfamiliar territory. Brooklyn is no longer reacting.
His positioning. His appearing more confident than he has in years. Posting consistently.
Showing up publicly without looking defensive. Almost as if the pressure of expectation that once followed him everywhere has suddenly lifted. For someone who openly struggled with anxiety tied to living up to a global surname, the shift is visible. His posture, his expressions, even the way he interacts with Nicola in public feels lighter. And that personal shift feeds directly into his public momentum. Because now, he's not being evaluated for past failed projects or scattered career attempts.
He's being watched for what he might do next. That's a powerful place to be.
Especially when brands, producers, and media executives are all watching the same thing unfold in real time. Nicola, meanwhile, continues to move with a calm that almost feels intentional. Her demanding ballerina preparation, the discipline, the physical transformation, all of it creates the image of someone deeply focused, not distracted by noise.
She doesn't defend. She doesn't respond.
She simply presents a carefully curated life beside Brooklyn that looks stable, intimate, and strangely familiar. Familiar because it mirrors the visual language David and Victoria perfected for decades. Which raises a quiet but fascinating question. Is this coincidence? Or is this Brooklyn reclaiming the image he grew up inside, but rewriting the authorship? Because that's what this entire situation circles back to. Authorship.
Who tells the Beckham story from here?
The parents who built the brand through control and silence? Or the son who now holds hours of footage that could let visuals speak where words never have? Even Snoop Dogg's subtle public support of David added an unexpected layer. It reminded everyone how deeply connected the Beckham influence runs through elite circles.
Sports, music, fashion, culture.
This isn't a small family disagreement playing out online. This is legacy territory. And that's why the question isn't whether the footage will be sold. The real tension is knowing that it exists at all. Because as long as those videos sit on hard drives, as long as offers keep coming in, and as long as Brooklyn keeps moving with quiet confidence instead of retreating, this story remains suspended in a state of anticipation.
Not resolved. Not exploded. Just waiting.
And sometimes, the most powerful move in a family built on image control is simply holding the camera.
It's how big it becomes.
Because somewhere, on private drives, in carefully stored archives, there are hours of footage that could quietly rewrite how the world sees the Beckham family forever.
Not through accusations. Not through interviews. But through something far more powerful.
Unedited moments. And the fact that Brooklyn and Nicola haven't denied the existence of this footage, haven't rushed to shut down the rumors, haven't publicly said this is nonsense. That silence speaks.
Loudly.
Because if this really was nothing, it would already be nothing.
But instead, offers are reportedly coming in. Speculation is rising.
Brooklyn's visibility is climbing, and the Beckham silence is becoming more noticeable than ever.
So ask yourself,
if you had footage that could change the narrative of the most carefully managed celebrity family on Earth, would you release it?
Or would you let the mystery do the damage for you? And is that exactly what's happening right now?
Drop your thoughts in the comments because this story is far from over. Do you think Brooklyn will actually sell the footage? Or is this all a strategic pressure move behind the scenes? If this ever turns into a streaming documentary, would you watch it? Because if you think this is just family drama, you might be missing the bigger picture. This is about image, control, legacy, and who gets the final edit. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because if this footage ever sees the light of day, you already know we'll be the first to break it down.